So we are good to go. And I'm going to give you a peek at what is coming out of the ground a couple hundred yards from where I'm sitting right now and help you understand the exact elements of the Morganton campus, what we plan to open and when. And we're going to do it by way of some drone footage captured by our friends at Barnhill Contracting. And I will say, for those of you who are local to Morganton, this footage is a few weeks old. So if you've driven by in the last few days, you will see even more progress than represented on this video. But it will give you a good snapshot of where things stand with regard to our construction efforts. So for the purposes of orienting you to the site, this site is actually in the northwest quadrant of an 800-acre parcel owned by the state or public agencies. And off in the distance to the south is actually where I'm sitting right now at Western Piedmont Community College. We've taken ownership of 62 acres of land that used to belong to the North Carolina School for the Deaf, and we are repurposing 4 historic buildings as part of our campus and creating 3 complementary buildings that are new construction over the next several years to open up a full-scale campus of several 100,000 square feet. The drone is getting into position at the center of the arrival ellipse in front of Goodwin Hall, so that you can see exactly what a student or a parent or a visitor would see when they arrive to campus. And they'll be looking at what is historic Goodwin Hall that dates back to 1910 and is going to be a 4-story facility that will have classrooms, administrative office suites, as well as the Bryan lobby of Morganton. So it's where you would go to check in, have security presence, and also be able to connect with whomever is guiding you off to a space on campus. So Goodwin Hall is that building now coming into view in the background. And those 2 large trees that front Goodwin Hall are actually going to remain with a large ellipse that frames it, that comes down to that arrival road in front. You'll see as we start down the campus spine, which is that 60-foot wide patch of dirt with vehicles and construction materials on it, that you're actually going to go past Goodwin Hall and have a brand new piece of construction on the right. That's the Academic Commons facility, which is 2 stories. The closest to where we're viewing it right now on the bottom floor will be the dining area, as well as going down that spine, a number of focus rooms and study rooms, grab-and-go cafe, makerspace and fabrication lab suite. And then on the southern tip of this building on the lower floor will be the library overlooking the barn and the South Mountains. On the second floor, there'll be 6 classroom lab combinations for the sciences, 3 research labs, 2 classrooms, a faculty hub, and a number of collaboration nodes for students and faculty and staff to be able to collide and engage with one another. This will all be kind of the center, the heartbeat of campus, so to speak, as it's between Goodwin, where you've got some of the offices and classrooms, and then the residence hall, which is coming into view on the left, which is going to be where the students call home. That residence hall is 5 stories. It has 300 beds inside for students, and it has 8 live-in community coordinator apartments. On the bottom floor is a laundry facility, vending, bike storage, as well as trash and recycling area for the student use at the back of the building. It is also a brand new facility. It's consumed more than 1/3 of our construction budget, so it's the largest undertaking on the site. But it is among the most critical elements so that we can provide a safe and welcoming environment for the students, not just in the residential program, but those who come for summer programs as well. You can see a smaller building off to the side here. That's Jeter Hall, which dates back to 1971. That building was in operation up until 2017 at the School for the Deaf. And we are actually using it as a temporary home for our humanities and fine arts program. The reason that it is temporary is because we cannot yet afford the final landing place for those programs, which you can see off in the distance here, the historic brick building with the cardboard boxed up windows. That is Joyner Hall. Joyner Hall dates back to 1929, and it is going to be a beautiful facility that will have art studios, ceramic studios, music ensemble space, an art gallery, as well as a number of classrooms and support spaces for our academic program in the fine arts. That building is a little bit out of reach by a few $1,000,000, but we are confident we're going to be able to bring it into the scope with a few successful campaign gifts over the near term, and look forward to making that building available day 1 for students in August 2022. We're spinning back around the residence hall so you can get a long shot off to the south to see what will be an expansive mall type space that fronts the historic cattle barn. The cattle barn dates back to 1940 and actually is going to be essentially taken apart, put back together again so that it can actually have an infrastructure. We rely on natural cool and heat at the moment. And so we need to put a little bit more intentional infrastructure to that building to make it safe and modernized for program on campus and with our partners. We're actually going to bump that facility out to the east. You can see the pad coming into view here, so that it would eventually serve about 500 attendees for events ranging from lectures to banquets to anything from a prom to a robotics competition. And so it's really going to be a mixed-use facility. It will be our auditorium for the students on campus, but it will also be made available to our partners in the community and throughout the region for larger scale events, which will be particularly nice looking off to the South Mountains in the distance and having a lot of opportunities for a nice plateau here in Morganton and Burke County. This will give you a sense looking back up the 23 acres of developed land on the site to the north, and you can see exactly how the routing of the campus looks from this angle alongside of the new entry road that's been created off to the west. So this is going to be a campus that starts turning over buildings later this summer, as Chancellor Roberts represented. We'll start opening buildings in July and August, and at that time, we intend to bring the Residence Hall, the Academic Commons, Goodwin Hall, and Jeter Hall into operation. There's 3 buildings that will be remaining. I mentioned the barn, and I also mentioned Joyner Hall. Each of those has a funding deficit that total between the two of them about $7 million. And so we are looking to bring those into scope as soon as possible. And we are at a point with our design where we can activate construction pretty quickly once we land the final dollars required to make that final lift. As we zip back across the campus, I do want to point out the lovely array of porta-johns that you see there. That has not been named for me, contrary to popular belief. It's actually going to be named a new space that's going to be an outdoor amphitheater. That outdoor amphitheater will take seed on that land and will be tiered such that it will allow for outdoor programs, but also individual recreation or someone to sit down with a laptop and do some work. It will be named for the Rotary Club of Morganton, who contributed $250,000 in support of the new campus, and it's going to be a wonderful public amenity on the campus. So if you were paying attention earlier, I mentioned there's 3 buildings left that we can't yet bring into scope. I mentioned 2 of them. The third is going to be positioned in this last piece of green and asphalt land you see coming into view to the north of Goodwin Hall. And that's going to be where our Student Wellness and Activity Center will be located. The drone is kind of beginning to spin in such a way that it's looking down at that land. It'll comprise about a 28,000 square foot comprehensive wellness facility. It's going to allow for a full court gymnasium and recreation program, comprehensive health clinic and counseling services, as well as physical therapy and athletic training type activities. And so that space will allow passive and active recreation and fitness, and it will be the very last building that comes out of the ground and becomes part of the Morganton campus. We're very excited at the progress. We've been kind of come a long way here in the last 4 years. You can see the long view looking out to the South Mountains, which is the largest state park here in North Carolina. And we just couldn't be more excited that we'll begin moving into buildings this summer and have our grand opening in spring of 2022 before opening it up to summer programs in May of 2022 and our first residential class in August of 2022. So that is where we stand with the construction effort. I would make the offer to any of you that are interested to see it up close. Should your travels bring you to or through Morganton, happy to do so in a safe and socially distanced manner. Also happy to provide you with additional ways to stay in touch with us on this project. Deborah will bring the slide deck back up in a moment, and when she does, it'll call attention to the fact that you can stay informed on this work if you're not already through our newsletter, our website, our YouTube series. We have a fleet of carrier pigeons we employ to deliver news all over the world. So any way that you'd like to receive information, we can deliver it to you. And we are excited to keep you informed and hopefully excited about the next chapter here in NCSM's history.